the Miami Dolphins. At DraftKings, their current number, Super Bowl 22-1. To win the AFC, 11-1. Their division, 2-1. Division wins, 3.5. Can they get to 4 with the Jets, Bills, and Patriots? It's plus 115. That's tough.
It is.
And they're also favored. They're minus 155 to make the playoffs. 8th easiest schedule in football. They travel the second most miles. And the net rest disadvantage, -8 days against their opponents. Their schedule to begin is Jacksonville, and then Buffalo on Thursday night, at Seattle, Tennessee, at the Patriots, and the bye.
That's doable.
It is. They're 10-1 last undefeated team, only behind the 49ers and the Lions. Overall, your thoughts on the Dolphins this year?
Well, I'm seeing a 10-1 for most points. And assuming everyone stays healthy, I mean, this could be, again, a high-octane offense and issues defensively. I think they're going to be in a lot of high-scoring games. You know, Beckham doesn't do anything for me. But you're going to experiment with Achane more, throwing him the ball. But with Mostert and Achane and Hill and Waddle and the weapons that they have, and McDaniel's a great offensive mind. But I'm back to the defense. Who are they going to slow down and who are they going to stop? You lose Fangio, which is enormous. Weaver is now the new defensive coordinator. You lose Wilkins, Howard, Davis, Van Ginkel, and Baker. You did bring in Shaq Barrett. I mean, that's too many guys, the losses to overcome. And the big one also with Fangio, which I don't know what happened there. It didn't work out with McDaniel. I don't know much about Weaver, the new DC, but to me that's a significant loss and a big loss with all the other guys and Wilkins, who they lose as well. I think they're going to be involved in a lot of high-scoring games. I don't think they're going to go over 9.5 wins. I think they're in third place in this division. I like the Jets, Bills 1-2, 5-1 or plus 550, however, which way you want to play it. But certainly it's going to be huge with that start. Right? Jacksonville at home, Bills at home, at Seattle, and the Titans. It sets up where they can get off to a hot start. Like last year when they were 9-3 and then blew the division.
Sure.
Which that horrible loss on Monday night when they got beat by the Titans at home.
Their wins now, and we'll use circa numbers here. Alt win totals are up. The low number for the Dolphins, 8.5. Over favored, minus 270. If you think they're going to be really come back to the pack this year, you can get plus 230 on the under 8.5. Their regular win total is 9.5. Over is minus 125. And their alt high win total is over 10.5, plus 190. I don't know. 9.5 wins under plus 105 looks kind of juicy to me. Now, Tua did play 17 games last year. He played 13 the year before that. He did have the concussion problem 2 years ago. Came out, he led the league in yards passing last year, but he also had 14 INTs a season ago. So I think he'll put up good numbers as long as he plays the entire year again. He had 46-24 overall passing, 29 touchdowns, along with 14 INTs, too high. That's got to come down. The year before that, he had 25 touchdowns and 8 INTs. Here's my question about Tyreek Hill. He's only 30 years old. Guy's still a speed burner. Mm-hmm. He is absolutely elite, one of the best receivers in football. The last 2 years, he had 119 catches each season. 2 years ago, 1,710 yards and 7 touchdowns. Last year, 1,799 yards and 13 touchdowns. He was on pace to go over 2,000 yards, which would have been the first receiver in history to do that. Both years never got there. Can he do that again this season when teams will be game planning yet again, you would think this year, to kind of slow him down? Hasn't worked lately. However, when you look at Pro Football Focus's numbers, he is facing the 8th most difficult schedule for wide receivers. Not easy in their own division, getting the Jets secondary twice, and the Bills are expected to have at least a pretty good unit again. It might make things difficult for him on the season. He's 7-1. He is the short shot to win Offensive Player of the Year. It came down to him and McCaffrey last year when he was double 7-1. He was in that 14, 15, 16-1 range at some books. I can't get there with 7-1 this year. That's too short for me. I agree with everything that you said. The offense can still be lethal, but I don't know if it's going to be good enough to outscore teams and be enough to go over 9.5 wins and make the playoffs.
They also were bullies. I mean, they beat up on those bad teams ran them out because they lost in the playoffs to the Chiefs 26-7 when it was freezing. They also didn't move the ball against them in it was Germany, wherever that game was the first time. They scored 19 against Baltimore and got killed late in the year, 56-19. And then in the game they had to have, at least for the division, they lost at home to the Bills 21-14. So what happened to this offense down the stretch?
Well,
I don't know, but that to me it's an under. I don't think they can get to 10-7 with this defense. And certainly the whole key to the season, though, is going to be the first 6 games. Because if you stub your toe and you get some losses early on, then because you're looking like week 9 on at Buffalo, at the Rams, you got the Cleveland game, you got the Jets at Houston, you go to Lambeau on Thanksgiving.
Well,
there are loss of 49ers. There are losses coming. So if you got off to a slow start, because you saw what happened when they they got up to the 9-3 lead and couldn't even hang on the division. They were huge favorites. It's going to be they're going to miss the playoffs.
Couple of things here. I always like to look at the teams playing in Miami early on to begin the season. Mm-hmm. Weather's going to be a factor.
Oh, it's a huge home field advantage,
sure.
Right?
So they get another Florida team in week 1. So Jacksonville, in theory, should not bother them. They get Buffalo in week 2. The Bills Mafia, they always take over that stadium. They travel really, really well. Will not be any sort of home field advantage there for Miami. And then Tennessee in week 4. Again, doable early on. But I'll go week 13 on. I'll condense it a little bit. You said week 9, I'll go week 13. At the Packers on Thanksgiving. That might be, I think I might go to that game.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, let's call it. It's going to be cold. And we know their record under 40 degrees.
That's exactly right. That will be a massive home field edge because it could be, the reason why I'm thinking about going to the game, family, Thanksgiving, whatever, it might be the only Thanksgiving home game the Packers ever play. That might not happen again in my lifetime. That place is going to be rocking and rolling. Not easy. Jets after that. At the Texans.
Oh,
love Houston this year.
Look at this.
Then they close Niners at home. But then here you go with the warm weather team from South Florida playing at Cleveland in week 17 and then at the Jets. 2 cold weather spots to close the season.
Yep. Spot on.
That final stretch is a gauntlet here for the Miami Dolphins. And you're right, cold weather, haven't done well, and Tua not the same guy on the road in those spots.
No, it was bad last year. That was ugly in the playoffs.
It actually might be a team that you want to pay attention to the updated win total, because if they get off to a hot start, the regular win total of 9.5 could get bumped up to 10.5, who knows, maybe even 11. And that's when I think you want to come in and bet the under on the Dolphins.
I think these are all coin flip games, though, too, early on. Jags at home, Bills at home, at Seattle, Colts.
There's not a lot
Rams,
of gimmies.
I mean, these are all no. I wouldn't even say I think they'll win. I wouldn't even say it's a gimme to beat the Raiders at home. But how do you that was their whole. It's a completely different season if they win the division, host a game, compared to going to Kansas City in the elements.
Yep.
How do you lose to Will Levis and blow a 13-point lead with 2 minutes left? That killed their season.
Yes, it did.
They're 9-3, and then they're going to win the division and host somebody. So who knows how it looks then after that.
Coach of the year, I was on him last year, 22-1. He was in the mix until last month and a half of the season, month whatever. This year now 32-1. I'm not going to be betting Mike McDaniel this year. Most passing yards Tua is plus 850. Did it last year.
No.
Can he do it this year?
No. I'll go back to most points 10-1.
Okay.
Patriots, by the way, fewest points plus 330 in that market. Looking at that. Again, I was surprised by the price with the Patriots last place yesterday, because Kansas City's like 220 to win the division. How can that be?
Do you hate Tua? Most INTs 14-1.
Yeah, I think there's other guys out there. Minshew and
I think he'll throw plenty
Darnold
again this year, but and then most receiving yards, Hill is 9, Waddle is 68. I think you would need an injury to Hill there for Waddle to get there. But Waddle's capable of having a really good year. And then most rushing yards, you definitely need an injury because they like to split it up here. Yeah. Achan's 35, Mostert's 53. Here's what I can't get over with Achan.
What's the offensive player of the year?
52-1.
Okay.
103 carries for 800 yards last year, 8 touchdowns. Top in the NFL. And as you said early on here in this segment, the game plan is here to get him more time. You have to.
Yes, you do.
He's a killer.
Yep.
Well, I mean, their offense, the way that they have drafted and put this team together, they're fun to watch. They have blazing speed. But I'm with you on all those losses. Big names, good players losing, and they lost anyway across the board. And then Fangio was awesome.
I know. Big third place?
I think so. I think third place. I think under 9.5 wins. I think no playoffs.
Yeah, strong.